Hello, hello, everyone. Hello, lovely people. I'm so excited to be talking to you guys about this. So, a little bit about me before I start. My name is Abigail, and I am a transformation healer. I am a life, spirit, and love coach. And it is my mission to help other twin flames basically find each other and walk the path of twin flames, and also as well as to help you bridge the mundane with the spiritual realm. I also help awaken the goddess within you and help you find your power, for you to step into your power, speak from that power place. And so I do a lot of different things. I speak to the heart. I work from that heart centered, but I'm also connected to the earth, shamanism, the medicine of the planet, the crystalline energy of the planet. And I'm connected to all of that to help you bring wholeness to all parts of you. Because as you know, we're all divine beings, we're multidimensional beings, which means that to be whole, we have to accept both the divinity and the physical aspect of ourselves. So that's a little bit about me and what I do. And I work with both men and women and also children too. Especially, the new kids coming in, or even, kids nowadays are coming in fully aware of their divinity and they're highly gifted. And if they don't have the environment or the parents to support them, most of the time they end up being diagnosed with ADD or all these, ADHD, all these other labels that we have, right? It's all because we don't quite understand how their gifts work. And so that's another part of what I do, is to really be that conduit for the kids, to help them realize the gift they brought in and to help them find a way to express that gift so that it's not all bottled up. So I love what I do. I really love what I do. I'm also a teacher and an author too. I'm a speaker. I love to teach my spiritual wisdom. I love to show others how they too can do what I'm doing in their own way. So I actually create leaders. I empower leaders. I empower you to step into your God and Goddess archetype, to really step into your power. So that's just a little bit about what I do. And this is all part of the Lightworkers Summit. And I'm so grateful for Suki for putting on this powerful, power-packed summit, right? The people that you will be hearing later, they're incredible. So I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for being here as well. So I would like to talk to you about the archetypes. So when I was asked to do this by Suki, I kept asking, what would you like me to teach about? I asked the universe this, and there were so many other topics that I was like, oh, I can teach this, and I could talk about this, and I do this. And immediately I was brought to the archetypes, right? Let me just change this real quick. It's so beautiful outside. It's awesome. So I was directed to the archetypes, and I realized that yes, like when I usually talk about archetypes, it sparks a lot of interest in people because it is fascinating. It's a fascinating topic that we don't really get to dive into, or we don't know how to dive into, let alone where to look to find more information about archetypes. So we're going to be talking about the most important archetypes that affect us every single day, right? Like we can't run away from these archetypes. What are archetypes? If you're asking, archetypes, think of them as the 12 aspects of yourself. They're like the 12 personalities, or no, I like this one, the 12 expressions of your soul. And they're all here to help you master your soul. And so they're like 12 different aspects of yourself, very much involved in your life. And if you are aware of how they're working with you and their power and their influence in your life, you can work with them to bring much success in all areas of your life. If you're not aware of them, especially the 3 that I'm going to be talking about today, they can definitely kick your butt. because they're constantly trying to get you to wake up and get you to be aware of their presence so that you can learn the lesson and master it and move forward. So I love the topic of archetypes because for me, I was a psychology major. And when my teacher started talking about multiple personality disorder, it just kind of like drew me in because I saw way beyond that. I saw archetypes fully manifested in the physical because the client or the patient wasn't ready to work with them yet or didn't know how to. But it's kind of like it's the 12 aspects of yourself, the 12 expression of your spirit, of your soul, here to help you master your journey, here to help you master your path. They're very powerful, even though they work on the subconscious or unconscious level. They're still very much. They have a huge influence on how we act, how we create, how we relate with each other. They have influence on all aspects of our lives. They're very powerful in that way. So I wanted to read this quote from Carolyn Myss, and she is like the grandmother of archetypes. She's the one who started the studies of archetype. And she says, "The energy that surrounds you, which is created by the universe, contains all the data of your biology and biography. So it makes sense that this same energy would manifest in patterns of archetypes that affect your life." Right? Doesn't it make sense? We're here to master our path and our journeys, and the universe has given us all the tools that we need in order to be able to do that successfully. But we have to be aware of these tools, and this 12 archetypes are a major part of this tool because they are you. They tell you everything that you are, and at the end of it, I will show you kind of like how everything is connected. So each of us embody 12 archetypes. But the ones I'm going to be talking about are the 4 main ones. So these are the ones that are gnarly. Okay, these are like the master ones that come in to get you to pay attention. They do the cosmic 4x4 where they hit you over the head, like wake up or pay attention. Like they're the gnarly ones that usually have a bigger hold on most people, and you can see them playing constantly, like having bigger patterns in our lives. And so that's the 4 that I wanted to concentrate on today. So the first one is the child archetype. So I love the child archetype because the child archetype brings in or reminds us of the playfulness, innocence. Remember, it doesn't matter how old you are, you still have the child archetype. And especially the beauty of the child archetype is that it has 2 faces. It has both the shadow. And actually, all these archetypes have both the shadow and the light faces. But the child archetype specifically comes in with those, it's almost like 2 in 1. And so the first one is usually the shadow aspect of the child archetype, whether you're an abandoned child, whether you're a wounded child. It's the shadow part. It's basically telling you what you didn't receive when you were a child, what you were lacking, or what kind of trauma still needs to be healed. And then the best part is that it brings in the light aspect of it, telling you this is how you can heal the inner child. And so usually when you get an archetype chart done by me, you will get, so for example, this is the wounded child. And then the second card is the magical child. So for me, if I drew these 2 for a client, I would know that for that client, like this is their shadow. This is what is coming up. This is what is playing a huge role in their life at this time. And then this is how they can heal that inner child, because that inner child is magical. And so for you to be able to heal that inner child, you usually clients who have this child archetype, they love the divine mysteries. They love shamanism, they love magic, they love creating wands, they love playing with crystals. Anything magical suits their soul, and there's a reason for that because that's who they are, and that's how they can heal that inner child. So that's the wisdom of the inner child. Now the other 3 that I'm going to be talking about, the prostitute, the victim, and the saboteur. The prostitute, the victim, and the saboteur. Now these ones, whew, the child archetypes are very easy to work with. I love them, like they bring in that lightness, that playfulness, and it's kind of like to the point, you can identify kind of like what you need to work on, and it also gives you the answer to it. Now, these ones are the archetypes. I call them the grown-up archetypes. Although it might start in the child archetype, right? It starts here, but it is the grown-up archetype because it develops when we develop, and that's when it gets stronger. So let's go ahead and start with a victim. And here's the other thing. These 4 archetypes, the child archetype, the victim, the prostitute, and the saboteur, every single person has that. The other archetypes, let's see. The other 8 archetypes, everyone has a different one. But these 4, everyone has it. It's like the foundation, right? And all 4 of them basically teaches us about our survival. Our survival, whether good or bad. They teach us the wisdom of mastering our survival, right? So the child, victim, prostitute, saboteur, we all have that. Every single person has that. And of course, how it plays or shows up in your life is all different, right? So let's start with the victim archetype. So the victim archetype, oh, I love this archetype. This victim archetype basically shows you ways that you allow yourself to be victimized and also how you victimize yourself. So the victim is basically the one that when life gets tough, they're usually like, oh my gosh, woe is me. Oh my God, look at me. Like my life sucks. Everybody hates me. There's always like something is being done against them. They're the victim. That's like what they fall into, like, oh my gosh, this is happening because I'm a bad person, or oh my gosh, this happened to me. But they always tend to be the victim in their own lives. It also brings in the wisdom of how you victimize others using your own energy, your own power. So this is not even about just you and how you victimize yourself or how others victimize you. It's also how you do that to others, because you have to know how to do it to yourself in order to do that to others, right? But here's the thing, and like I was saying, each of the archetypes have both the light and the dark aspect of themselves. And so with the victim, it comes in to show you the darker aspect of, hey, you keep playing that game of victim. You keep allowing others to, victimize you. You keep putting yourself in situations that make you the victim. But what the victim really wants you to learn is the gift of freedom and self-esteem. So when the victim shows up, the victim is showing you places that you are craving freedom, and also places where you need to rebuild your self-esteem. Because if you are confident in yourself, then you do not need to victimize yourself or victimize others. So that's what that's the wisdom, the golden seed of the victim, is to bring in freedom and self-esteem. Now the next one, the saboteur. Oh, the saboteur can be intense. So the saboteur comes in to show you where you are afraid of your own power. So for me, I have, we all have the saboteur, but for me, I have the saboteur in the first house, right? And I'll talk more about the houses, but in the first house. And so it brings in that survival, like being born. The first house is all about the toddler, right? It's like being born and not getting your basic needs met, and that carries over, that creates a pattern that basically carries over throughout your life until you catch it and know where it started. So the saboteur basically also shows you where you sabotage yourself and others. So have you ever heard of like people really doing good and all of a sudden they sabotage themselves and everything crashes down because they don't believe that they are worthy of that good thing? And so it's like creating or sabotaging your success, sabotaging your relationship. That's the saboteur, basically showing you ways that you sabotage yourself in your own life and how you do that to others too. The wisdom here, the saboteur is bringing you these shadows or showing you these shadows so you can learn where you need to be empowered. So wherever you sabotage yourself, the saboteur is saying, this is where you need to be empowered. Like, bring in more empowerment there. If it is your relationship, then you need to be more empowered in love. If it is success, then you need to be more empowered in your business and in what you do and sharing your gift and sharing your life. And I love this quote because it really symbolizes the saboteur. And it's the quote from Marianne Williamson. And she says, our deepest fear is that we are not inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. The saboteur brings to light how you sabotage yourself so that you don't fully step into your power. It's all about you stepping into your power. So that's the lesson that the saboteur brings. The next one is the prostitute. Now, the prostitute, it has to do about the body. And when I say the body, I mean both the physical and the spiritual body. Depending on where the saboteur falls